Welcome to another episode of On Foodable Weekly, where we cover everything in the restaurant industry, from tech trends to culinary trends, you name it. And we do it right here on this set in New Orleans at the FS Tech Show. We're having some fun today with a bunch of guys, everything from drive-through technology, software as a service, and now I've got the mobile rock stars, which I think is kind of fun to work with both of you guys. Great to have you on the set. Thank you for stopping in.
Thanks for having us.
Beautiful. Let's start with you, LevelUp Master. What is it, Chief Rockstar?
Chief Rockstar.
Okay,
yeah,
tell me a little bit about what you
title.
do and a little bit about LevelUp.
Sure. So my name is Michael Hagan, and I'm the Chief Rockstar, Chief Operating Officer at LevelUp. And LevelUp is a mobile payment platform. Okay. And what we enable brands to do is allow their customers to pay with their phone. So we create custom branded apps, and those apps enable a brand to put their branding on it and allow customers to essentially pay and track loyalty and all sorts of wonderful marketing things connected right into the point of sale.
Good deal. Noah, of course, you and I go back many years. Great to have you. Thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about you and Olo. Where's Olo today?
So I'm Noah Glass. I'm the founder and CEO of Olo, and thanks for having me. It's great to be here with Michael, a friend and a partner. We've been around for about 9.5 years now. One of the first companies to talk about mobile ordering, and basically our platform enables restaurants to let their customers have a faster, more accurate, and more personal experience at the store by ordering ahead and paying ahead so they can skip the line when they get to the restaurant.
Well, that kind of segues into the first question, and that is these consumers. You know, let's talk a little bit about kind of the trends. So Michael, let's begin with you. Consumers, social media, the kind of the evolution of the iPhone, which I think was kind of that first genesis of really using a really powerful device. What are you guys seeing at LevelUp in terms of the trends that are coming down the pipe around consumers adopting this kind of technology?
Mobile payments in general has been something that for a long time has always been coming.
Right.
And when you have companies like Apple who throw their hat in the ring and basically go on stage, Tim Cook on stage, and saying, mobile is the future, mobile payments is now here.
Right.
And that really resonates. Very good news for us because we've been in the space for 3 years.
Great validation.
Right, great validation. And one of the, when you look at the early adopters versus the laggards in technology with food retailers, the biggest pushback has always been our customers actually ready for this?
Right.
And while we were achieving between 15 and 40% of volume for customers paying with their phone at the high end, I think this is only going to accelerate with Apple basically now saying the time is now, get involved. You have now a landscape where you can talk to your customers in ways you never could before.
Right. And I think there's some affluency there too with mobile device users. They're able to spend more money dining out in terms of occasions, things of that nature. You know, when you look at that, Noah, you guys have kind of been through the online ordering wars, the early emerging online ordering companies, everything from POS integration to the standalone products like yourself. Adoption, with this to the consumer. Do you think we're there now?
I really do. I mean, I think it's maybe a two-wave adoption. First, there's getting the devices in the hands of the consumer, and clearly that's happened. We're at, I think, 72%, and at the end of the year, 75% adoption of a smartphone device, iPhone, Android. Both have a good mix of that.
Sure.
But then there's the adoption of the mindset of this device is going to help me have a better experience in the world around me. And I think you see that with brands like Uber or apps like Uber.
Absolutely.
So a little known fact, but something that I'm happy to say is that the same investor who seeded Olo when we first launched is also the investor that seeded Uber years later. And you ask him, how did you sort of start thinking about the smartphone so early? He said it was very clear to me that the smartphone was going to become the remote control for life, and it was going to let you have not just have a conversation wherever you are, but it was going to let you do things like hail a cab and have it know exactly where you are to come pick you up and drop you off. And it was going to help you, place an order when you weren't physically standing at the counter, so that order would go right into the production line of the restaurant, be ready and waiting for you when you arrived. Restaurants, often get knocked as being slow to adopt things. I think in this space, restaurants are like right on the cutting edge of adopting it, and it seems like they're on the cutting edge because they're really listening to their customers, and their customers are saying, we want to interact with you this way. We want to pay with our phone when we get to the front of the line.
Sure.
Or we want to order ahead and pay with our phone before we even get there. And restaurants are hearing that, and they're reacting, and that's exciting to see. It took many, many years, but it's finally happening.
In that direction, when you look at kind of the killer apps, so you mentioned Uber, Airbnb, companies like that, you know, that have really kind of hit on that little thing that is in the vein of every person there. They always, and of course, eating is the next one, I feel.
Yeah.
That we don't have that real killer app just yet. What do you think it's going to be, Michael?
Well, you know.
Let's hope it's LevelUp, but associated
exactly.
with some other things, maybe.
Of course, yeah. I mean, a lot of brands have very unique things they're trying to achieve.
Right.
And so you really need buy-in from a brand to get anything out to the marketplace. By way of food, the killer app, you know, payment tied to loyalty is something that is unique to LevelUp. When we layer in online ordering and the ability to order ahead, and now you have, you know, major components of a business all now trackable. You know, where does it go from there? You know, layering in things like gift card functionality, which is usually a standalone function these days and still remains in the plastic world, has yet to become a digital asset for most brands.
Yeah, I think my view has evolved a lot over the years. I used to believe in the idea there's going to be a killer app. And in fact, we started as a B2C brand, GoMobo, and we had the intention of becoming that killer app for food, or kind of an Uber for food. Today, where my mind is that there's not a killer app, but there will be killer apps. And what I mean by that is I think the brands are going to all have apps. That is very clear to me. It's very clear to LevelUp. I mean, what we do is we go out and we build white label apps, and it's really exciting, the kinds of conversations we're having on the floor here of restaurant CIOs who are coming and saying, I know I need to build an app. Here are the things that I want to do. Ordering is on that list. Payment is on that list.
Right.
And I think it's more about putting together these kind of modular services as it makes sense, brand by brand. What Michael was saying is exactly right, to create a killer app for that brand and for their audience of customers.
Yeah. When you look at payment now with Apple getting into the game with Apple Pay, does it resurrect Google Wallet? You know, there's a lot of challenges that people are asking about that very issue. I mean, Michael, what do you think with all these big guys who have been out there kind of looming in the wings?
Yeah.
What is that going to do to the industry?
Well, I think it's fun. You know, we kind of joke that Apple announces Google Wallet, but they're just calling it Apple Pay.
Right.
You know, just a little bit of education around that, because I think a lot of people are asking the question, what does this mean? How does it affect the restaurant industry? And, you know, just to clarify what Apple Pay is essentially taking my Amex that I used to swipe vertically and instead making that digital and using my iPhone and now tap it.
Yeah.
Right? So when you think of the implications of that, what are the differences? There are virtually none as it relates to the restaurant, because Apple's not sharing any data. They're not giving any access around that transaction about that customer for that brand. And over the long run, what's it going to do to costs for credit card fees, which is already a pain point.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue.
So that's really kind of the state of the union with it. Now, how does that play with what is called Apple's Passbook? Passbook is a wallet that allows Apple Pay to be in, as well as gift cards, airline tickets, apps with LevelUp that enable you to pay. And so you have this world that is essentially the wallet is what Apple needs to continue to allow people to integrate into, and they have, which is very exciting, because within Passbook, you can start to extract data. You can start to integrate loyalty. You can tie that to payment with LevelUp. You can have gift cards in there, lots of fun things. I think what this means for the overall industry is that brands need to kind of understand the technologies that are available. How does, you know, Apple Pay impact folks like Google Wallet? I think it actually lifts Google Wallet up, because
maybe it gets them back in the game.
Exactly. And you can't really focus, you know, if you're looking at both sides, iOS versus Android, you need to have a solution that speaks to both, because if you don't, Android worldwide is the most popular operating system on mobile devices. And so I think this space has been elevated. I think the capabilities of the cool stuff we're going to be able to do has been elevated. And it's very exciting to see brands who are going to really push the envelope with
right,
it.
Yeah.
And I still think there'll be a lot of brands who say, well, let's kind of see how it shakes out.
Yeah.
But it is encouraging, as Noah said, with all the big ingrained technology players now saying we have to be open,
right.
We have to be integratable, makes it a much more encouraging world, especially for cool new stuff like Noah and I's companies being able to plug into some pretty old systems makes that happen.
Do you think brands can keep pace with this kind of demand? Because the technology just keeps getting better. I mean, I'm looking at the iPhone 6 and I'm thinking, my God, this thing is so powerful now.
Yeah, look, I think that brands, there's no way the brands can keep pace if they're trying to do everything in-house.
Right.
And I would argue there's no way the brands keep pace if they're trying to do everything with one technology partner and they're sort of like a virtual in-house shop. I think it takes a best-of-breed approach, and that, again, goes to interoperability and openness of systems. Yep. But I mean, we live, sleep, eat, breathe mobile ordering, digital ordering in general. I know LevelUp is the same with payments. We're thinking about not just smartphones, we're thinking about wearables. These guys are talking about using not just Apple Watch, but using Gear and Samsung Gear and the Google Android-powered watches for payments. I don't know that brands are naturally thinking that way, but we were ahead of the curve when we started, by definition, and I think we're going to keep continuing to be ahead of the curve from what's obvious in the market right now because we're so focused and maniacally focused on this stuff.
I love it. Guys, we could talk on mobile, I think, all day on this subject, but as usual, we always have a runtime here, so we've got to get moving. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for stopping in on another episode of On Foodable. Sure. Appreciate that. You guys have been great. Thanks for watching here on this episode of On Foodable Weekly, and make sure and catch us on our next episodes as we continue to explore the FS Tech Show here in New Orleans. I'm your host, Paul Barron, signing off.